outside registers single digits. So we go inside where the decibel meter hits triple digits. Tonight, Richmond takes on four-time defending champion North Dakota State. And the Spiders will have to contend with the sound and fury of the Fargo Dome. For the four-time defending champions. The FCS playoffs brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. It's semifinal number one. North Dakota State against Richmond. The Missouri Valley meets the Colonial. The winner tonight will take on the winner of tomorrow's second semifinal between the number one overall seed Jacksonville State and Sam Houston State. The championship game in Frisco, Texas on Saturday, January the 9th. Alongside former Texas Longhorn Ahmad Brooks and Anish Schraub here at a raucous Fargo Dome. North Dakota State, your four-time defending champion, winners of 18 consecutive playoff games. Richmond looking to get back to the championship game for the first time since its title season in 2008. The Spiders won the toss, they defer, the Bison to receive. Here's Bruce Anderson, who has two kick return touchdowns in this postseason. Anderson a hurdle, and he's taken down at the 33-yard line. The quarterback for North Dakota State, Easton Stick, 7-0 as a starter. He's a redshirt freshman from Omaha. He stepped in mid-season when potential first-round pick Carson Wentz went down with a broken wrist.
He was very efficient last week versus Northern Iowa. Came out and threw the ball very well. Didn't throw for a passing touchdown. 7 of 8 in the second half. And the question will be, can he handle a Richmond defense with a fine secondary?
On first down, the give is to King Frazier. He's coming off a 100-yard game, and he's one of our impact players tonight.
Yes, King Frazier, during the fourth quarter versus Northern Iowa, was a special player. He carried this team on his back. And on the opposite side, David Jones has 9 interceptions. That's a school record. Had a 100-yard return earlier in the playoffs. He'll be the player to watch in the back end.
Frazier flips to the left hip of Stick. And the give is to Frazier again, looking for room on the perimeter. Sidesteps the boundary, and he's out of bounds at the 40-yard line. A gain of 6 on the play. It'll bring up a third down. North Dakota State had a first-round bye. In the second round, they knocked off Montana. That avenged a regular season loss to the Grizzlies. And then last week, a hard-fought victory against Northern Iowa in the quarterfinals. Richmond also had a first-round bye. The Spiders beat conference foe William and Mary in the second round and then knocked off Illinois State, co-champs in the Missouri Valley, on the road last Friday. On third down, Stick looking over the middle. He's got Zach Fry. And the sixth-year senior takes it to the 49-yard line. A first down for the Bison.
Easy money. Nice pitch and catch here as you see it. Easton Stick. Great job of using his shoulders, moving that player out of that passing window. And Vra with the best hands on the team. This kid doesn't miss much when you throw it his way.
This is a Richmond defense that last week held Marshawn Coppridge, a first-team All-American, to just 30 yards rushing. Frazier up the middle. Breaks a tackle. Frazier still on his feet. The ball is out. And North Dakota State able to recover.
This is just power football. Right up the middle, right up the gut. Nifty move there by Anderson, but he doesn't see that backside defender. Nice job there by Trevor Jones, being aware enough that the running back didn't see him. And they ran behind that muscle on the left side. Number 59, Joe Haig, the All-American left tackle.
Frazier with that last run, over 1,000 yards on the season. 13 consecutive seasons now the Bison have had a 1,000-yard rusher. This is Lance Dunn, and the redshirt freshman from Waterloo, Iowa, stopped by DeAnthony Muse. This is a physical Richmond defense. We saw what they were able to do against a very good Illinois State offense last week.
It was just amazing. I mean, they did what Marshawn Coppridge that Iowa couldn't even do. And we called Iowa early in the year one of the top defenses in the country in all of Division I football. And they were just really able to control their gaps. A nice job of gap integrity and making sure they were in the right places, and they made their plays when they needed to.
Stick keeps it here on second down, on the run, and he fires one to the near sideline, caught again by Vra. Zach Vra, the school's all-time leader in catches, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns.
I mean, just watch the coordination here. That's a fantastic catch there. Keeping the 1 foot down, the awareness there, and now he caught that all with his hands. And you heard me say that this young man, Vra, has the best hands on the team. That's proof right there.
We'll talk more about this crowd. Notice them now, almost church quiet. It's going to be a lot different when Richmond has the football. Stick again to the air. Threads that one inside the 10-yard line. That's Luke Albers, his tight end. A second-team all-conference player and a fisheries and wildlife management major.
I really like what the offensive coordinator, Tim Polasek, is doing with this Bison offense early on. He's allowing Easton Stick to get into a rhythm. They've handed the ball off to King Frazier. He's had some productive yards. They're getting Easton Stick on the move. Good game planning early on by the Bison.
Jedry Sear is the fullback on second and short. They give us to Frazier, looking for room inside the 5, still churning. And he's got a first down for North Dakota State. First and goal for the Bison. And it is the Bison. North Dakota State going quickly. It might look like Bison, but in Fargo they say Bison. Back to Frazier. And he finishes the drive with a touchdown. An impressive opening salvo by the 4-time defending champs. Ahmad, this North Dakota State offense has not been great in the postseason. We have not seen many drives like that, especially early. Botched snap. The Bison looking to make something out of it, and that's intercepted. David Jones got it. It doesn't go in the books as an interception. It goes as a failed 2-point conversion, but North Dakota State on the board.
It was all about going right up the middle. Very aggressive approach early on for the Bison. As you see it here, the punch in from Frazier. Bison up by 6.
The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual, proud to be an official financial planning partner of the NCAA, and in part by Dr. Pepper and college football. It's a one-of-a-kind tradition. Let's go back to the last failed PAT. Watch this snap. It looks like a good one.
Yeah, the All-American punter there, Ben LeCompte. The ball just goes right through his hands. Not a play that you see a lot from him, but I'm sure when he gets an opportunity to punt today, he'll make up for it.
LeCompte last week, maybe the MVP of North Dakota State's quarterfinal win. He was a game changer with special teams, and LeCompte will kick it off for the Bison. Gordon Collins back deep to receive for Richmond. And this one goes out of bounds, and that's a penalty against North Dakota State. For Richmond offensively, their skill position players have been outstanding all season.
Kyle Aletta continues to grow into his game, and he's got a running back that he can hand to that's pretty special. Gets into really tight and small creases in Jacoby Green, and on the outside, Brian Brown. They've got two outstanding receivers, but that's the top wide receiver this year. He's the target that you want to look for when the game's on the line. Very reliable wide receiver, but the big three for Richmond Spiders are the reason they're here in the semifinals.
You can take away one element, maybe the run game. They can beat you through the air and vice versa. But now they'll have to contend with this Fargo Dome crowd. Just listen. Jacoby Green on first down, driven back by MJ Stump. Ahmad, Richmond practiced all week to try to simulate the noise here. They couldn't use their football stadium because it was finals week, so they went to the basketball arena, the Robins Center, to try to simulate the noise. You can maybe simulate, you can't duplicate.
I don't think you can. And the one thing that this noise affects is the communication, allowing you to hear the offensive call, hear the chants, the audibles, and you can see here they're going to struggle with it. They will go silent snap count.
Play action. Loletta under pressure, and down he goes. Brian Schatz. Schatz, the senior out of Denmark, Wisconsin. He grew up on a dairy farm, used to wake up at 4 a.m., lift, do farm work, and then go to school.
Excellent swim move. We saw that last week on a very similar play when Northern Iowa was backed up in the end zone after a LeCompte punt. That ended up sealing the game. It was a safety. It really put the game away for the Bison.
Screen pass to Green. And Green gets back to the original line of scrimmage, 3 and out for the Spiders.
That was a great defensive series there for the Bison. You go back and look at what Richmond's been able to do offensively. It's been amazing. The last two games, 87 points, over 1,000 yards, no lost fumbles, 3 total penalties. So if you are this North Dakota State defense, to come out here with a 3 and out really does establish the tone of this game.
Eric Perkins from inside his own 20, running laterally, gets the edge, has the 30, cuts it back. Perkins across midfield, and finally pushed down at the 30. There's the Bison special teams making an early big play.
It's a factor last week. It's a factor this week. I'm not even sure if this is an advisable catch here. If I were the returner, I would have fair caught it, but that's why he's special. He picks up several good blocks from the Bison, and special teams has been the difference the last 2 weeks for this team. We saw they came out second half, and then the reaction, just hype. When you make those types of plays, boy, does it really give you energy as a team.
A 53-yard return, the longest of the season for Perkins. Richmond head coach Danny Rocco told us the first few drives in this game would be crucial. He said if his team can handle the environment, handle the noise, and not put itself in the hole, that could go a long way.
Timeout. North Dakota State, their first charge timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
The Bison take a timeout with 8:15 to go here in the first quarter. Good field position for the champions. Nightfall in the city of Fargo, North Dakota. If you watched the television show, you saw the season finale earlier this week. The Bison hoping this isn't their season finale. Richmond hopes it is, but for Richmond to succeed here, they have to handle this environment. They can't get down early. Teams that aren't familiar with the Fargo Dome sometimes get overwhelmed early, and by the time they adjust, the game is over. Danny Rocco, the coach of the year in the Colonial Athletic. Richmond picked to finish 5th in what was a very tough league. Here they are, one of the last 4 teams standing. The Bison start at the Richmond 29, 1st and 10. Lansdowne gets a block from Morlock, and he's tripped up after a gain of 2 by Omar Howard, Richmond's #1 tackler. That was his 120th stop on the season.
Had a big pick last week in the fourth quarter as well. Yeah, he's just one of those guys, kind of like Nick DeLuca for North Dakota State. They just got a nose for the football. They dissect plays very well, and they do a good job of navigating through traffic to get to the play, and then they do something when they're there.
Here's Morlock on 2nd down, and Chase Morlock takes it inside the 25. Morlock, a junior from just across the Red River in Moorhead, Minnesota. 6 of his relatives attended North Dakota State. 3rd down and 3 for the Bison. 46% on 3rd down this season. Top 15 in the FCS.
2 things that have worked for them early on: power running game and short throws for Easton Stick.
Darius Shepard goes in motion. Stick rolling to his right, pumps under pressure, gets away from one defender, and then threads it to Shepard for a 1st down. Great job improvising that time by the redshirt freshman from Omaha.
Great athleticism. Just to be able to buy time is fantastic. It was a design play where the offensive line didn't move.
And that was a receiver downfield on the offense, number 55. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So the Bison will get backed up, and that will not be a 1st down. Watch the offensive line on this last play.
Yeah, it's a design play. Now, do you see the defensive line there for Richmond? Slow down the charge. The only player that attacked there was the defensive end. And that's why you do that. You want your offensive line to act as though there's a dead play. Now that play hurts. You know, this type of yardage, when you lose yardage like that after a big conversion, it changes the way you call plays as a play caller from these 3rd and long situations.
And Ahmad, now for Richmond, crucial 3rd down. North Dakota State has had some struggles in the kicking game this year. If you can get a stop here, you might be able to take points off the board and halt this Bison momentum early. Sticks pass broken up by Trevor Jones. Great job that time by the linebacker, who had a team-high 9 tackles in the quarterfinal win against Illinois State.
Yeah, Easton Stick's been pretty sharp early on in this game. That time there, the throw was a tad bit late, and it wasn't thrown in the right location. He's lucky that wasn't an interception.
So a 44-yard attempt by Cam Peterson, the true freshman from Wisconsin. He's just 1 for 5 this postseason. His 2 misses last week were from beyond 50. This one from 44. And that is no good. So that penalty backed up North Dakota State with the illegal man downfield. and the Bison unable to tack on 3 points. Bowl season gets underway this Saturday, but before all that, we have the Celebration Bowl. It's the SWAC and the MEAC, Alcorn State and North Carolina A&T, noon Eastern on ABC. The Gildan New Mexico Bowl at 2, and then it's the Holy War in Sin City, BYU and Utah, and the Royal Purple Las Vegas Bowl. Lauletta throws downfield, and that is caught by the All-American Brian Brown for a gain of 23. Bison bring the blitz. Here's Green, and he is tackled at midfield after a short gain. And we say hello to the studio and Chris Cotter.
Hello, Anish. Getting you updated on the Stag Bowl Division III National Championship. It's Mountain Union's Torrey Scott finds Roman Namdar. 29 yards for the score. St. Thomas giving him a game, though, right now over on ESPNU. 14-all. Anish, Amon, back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Chris. Here, North Dakota State up 6-zip on Richmond. Here's Green, second-team All-American, and he's into Bison territory. It'll bring up third down. Chris mentioned Mount Union, the class of Division III, 11 titles. Well, North Dakota State has done pretty well here at the FCS level. 4 titles as an FCS program. Before that, 5 in Division II.
You've got to have some great people to be able to go on a run like that. It starts with your coaching staff and trickles on down to the players. And as I said last week, North Dakota State, along with Mountain Union, they just recruit winners. They recruit guys that know how to do it. Watch this matchup here on the smaller champ with the taller wide receiver.
Blitz. Lauletta over the middle, incomplete, intended for Green.
Great coverage all the way around the board. It looked like Lauletta was looking for Brown on Champion. Champ doing a good job of coverage there. Lauletta had to go down to his second route in the progression, but was covered very well. Good defensive series there for the Bison.
C.J. Smith, the deep man, on to punt it away. D.J. Helkowski. Fair catch signal. Smith lets it bounce and into the end zone for a touchback. Bison ball at the 20, the 4-time defending champs with a 6-0 lead. Planning for success is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. What do both teams have to do, Ahmad Brooks?
Yeah, for Richmond, it's control the line of scrimmage. They haven't been able to do that yet. -7 rush yards. They've already given up a sack. And for North Dakota State, they've got to dominate special teams. You saw early on a miscue here with Ben LeConte. Ball just goes right through his hands. That's why you see there's 6 points and not 7. And then another missed opportunity. Missed field goal from distance. And for the Bison to stay in this, they've got to be special on special teams.
Bruce Anderson, one of the heroes of last week's quarterfinal game, in a tailback for North Dakota State, number 42, a true freshman from Florida. He had a 97-yard kick return for a touchdown. And Anderson gets the call, looking to shed a tackle, slowed up, still on his feet, and finally spun down at the 27-yard line by Selton Hodge.
He's a change of pace guy. You've been seeing the Bison run right up the middle with the power offense. He's the guy that you want to get on the edge. This young man from Florida, this coaching staff really believes has the potential to be great. You saw him there break some tackles, keep his feet, and also stay in balance. That was a good play on first down.
He's a kid. He saw North Dakota State on ESPN. He saw game day come to Fargo, and that drew him to this program all the way from the Sunshine State.
I understand.
King Frazier, 35 yards on that first series, and he continues to move the pile across the 30. It's a first down for the Bison.
They are running that power effectively well right now, and you talked about the 35 yards that King Frazier had on that first drive. Last week, 7 for 35 in the first 3 quarters, and then really turned it on in the fourth quarter where he had 7 carries for 72 yards. And he's the type of back, he gets stronger as the game goes on.
He began his career at Nebraska. It didn't work out there, so he transferred to North Dakota State. Did his time as an understudy, but he's been the lead back this season. Stick rolling to his right. Finds his fullback, Andrew Bonnet. And the second team All-American picks up a couple. Richmond defensively has a big-time playmaker at every level. Winston Craig on the D-line, Omar Howard at linebacker, and David Jones in the secondary. Designed run. Stick following his blockers, and a nice tackle that time by Omar Howard, first-team all-conference linebacker who we just mentioned.
We asked earlier in the week, the Bison staff, why we didn't see Easton Stick run the football a lot last week, and they said that was by design, but they wanted to come back this week and utilize his athleticism. That time there, they lined, it was just a quarterback power, and they tried to get some blockers out in front of him. He makes a couple guys miss. They were trying to get to a 3rd and short situation where they didn't, but if you're Easton Stick, these are the types of plays that you're judged by as a quarterback.
3rd and 6, Richmond does not blitz a whole lot. They'll rush 4. Stick's pass is caught again on that near sideline. 3rd reception for Zach Fra, and it goes for a first down.
Boy, that was thrown in another tight window. And then you go back to this catch, and you just watch how special it is. Nice zip on the ball, just enough to get it over the head of Howard. And Fra with the excellent catch once again with those hands. And did about a 180 there in the air, puts his feet down. That is an athletic play.
Fra, the only player on this Bison roster who knows what it's like to lose in the postseason. He's a 6th-year senior. Strong run by Frazier, who gets into Richmond territory. Zach Fra, the school's all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. He's a tough kid. He plays with metal plates in both collarbones. He had 3 breaks in the first 2 years, but he has made some big catches, especially this time of the year for North Dakota State during this championship run.
Outstanding route runner as well.
This is Bruce Anderson. He can fly. Anderson into the clear, and finally brought down by the ankles inside the 30 by Tayfon Mainsaw. A gain of 20 by the freshman.
He picked up a monster block there from number 25, Chase Morlock. You'll see it here, bam. Then he got a piece of him, and then Bruce Anderson showing how athletic he is to leap over guys. We've seen that a few times today from the Bison running backs, King Frazier. Now it's Bruce Anderson's turn, and that was a good run that now gets them into field goal range.
Final 10 seconds of the opening quarter. Stick going deep, and a touchdown, North Dakota State. Chase Morlock.
That was just fantastic play design. And that was set up by the run. Because they've had so much success early on running the football, they went to the play action, slid Morlock just on a wheel route. He started out in the fullback position. You'll see here on the replay. But a fantastic drive here for the Bison. You see Morlock, he slips out. Easton Stick, 6 of 7 right now. He's on fire.
January 7th, 2012. Brock Jensen was the quarterback for North Dakota State. That was the first of 4 consecutive titles. I'll tell you what, we were in Fargo last week. This entire town had arachnophilia, love of spiders. They rooted hard for Richmond to beat Illinois State in the quarters. That meant the Bison would have a home game here in the semifinals. Now they're looking to knock off Richmond. The Spiders down 13-0. The question for Richmond now, can they recover? Maybe a little overwhelmed by the environment early on.
If you're a player right now, you just got to take a deep breath. You know, the game's not over. So yes, you lost the first quarter, no question about it. But can you win the next 3? That'll be the difference.
Here's Gordon Collins across the 10. And Collins taken down after a nice return. He's to the 27-yard line. The name of the game for North Dakota State, time of possession. Number 1 in the country in time of possession. They've had games where they've had it for more than 40 minutes. They almost had it for 11 minutes in that opening quarter.
And part of the reason is this defensive unit you see out here right now. They held the Spiders to 26 total yards in that first quarter. -7 rush yards, and they were giving the ball back to their offense, and King Frazier was running like a man.
Here's Jacoby Green dragging tacklers across the 35, a gain of 9, his longest run of the game. Green was a guy who began the season in a timeshare at running back with an All-American in Seth Fisher. Fisher suffered a high ankle sprain mid-season. Green took over as the primary guy and then took off and put up All-American numbers, 1,500+ yards. David Broadus comes into the game. He's been their Wildcat quarterback. And Seth Fisher joins him in the backfield. Broadus gets a block from Fisher, and we've got a flag.
False start, offense, number 9. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Penalty on Stephon Jacob. This was a Richmond team that only had 3 total penalties in the 2 postseason games, and there is Broadus, who's now coming to the sideline after the penalty.
He came in relief when Lauletta got hurt last week versus Illinois State, and really did a fine job. Actually led him to a scoring drive on his first opportunity out there. They bring Lauletta back out.
The Bison bring the blitz, and that is caught by Wilkins. Tyler Wilkins, the freshman who won 3 state titles in high school. It'll bring up 3rd and 1.
Safe location on that throw, good second down yardage. You win on 3rd down by setting it up on 1st and 2nd down. And when you have these 3rd and short situations, it's easy to go to the playbook. Got a myriad of things you can run. You would expect to see a run here from this Spider offense.
They give us to Seth Fisher. And he is going to be stopped right at the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up 4th down for Richmond.
Another fantastic play by Nick DeLuca. Now, this young man was not the defensive player of the year in his conference, but when you look at what he's meant to this team and what he's meant to this defense, he's been fantastic. Perfect form tackle there, fits up the running back, forces him and pushes him back. Really special.
The offense out on the field for the Spiders. Do you like the call?
I don't like it here, but I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get some momentum back because this crowd is charged up right now, and this Bison team.
And with the play clock winding down, Danny Rocco uses his first timeout. 4th and 1, Richmond from its own 37 when we come back. 4th and 1, Richmond, offense on the field. David Broadus in at quarterback. He's the guy who's been getting the tough yards for the Spiders. A couple of rushing TDs this postseason. Richmond 9 of 11 this year on 4th down. Brown in motion. Broadus will keep it. Up the middle and denied. Nick DeLuca with the stop. Turnover on downs.
What a defensive series there for the Bison. And you lean to your junior, the best defensive player and maybe all of FCS, Nick DeLuca, with a Superman impression there, just leaping over the crowd. I mean, just watch him fight through the block. Excellent job. Once again, one of the better tacklers in all of football. Fine play, and he gets hyped, and you can tell why.
I know there's a lot of time left, and you can second guess the call afterwards. I didn't have a problem with it, given how this game has gone so far. Frazier takes it inside the 30, a gain of 8.
Yeah, and that's the problem right there. They cannot stop the power right now. North Dakota State is just enforcing their will on this Richmond Spiders defense. Now, they've been out there, to their credit, a lot already early on in this ball game. But right now, North Dakota State offensive line is controlling the line of scrimmage.
Three receivers set. The give is to Dunn. And he's met right at the point of attack, but still able to get the first down. Tackled by Matthews. Big disparity in first downs. In this building, North Dakota State so tough. 47-4 at home since 2010. They had a 26-game home win streak that was snapped earlier this year. And in the postseason, 16 consecutive home wins. In the flat to the sophomore R.J. Urzendowski, who was driven out by the strong safety David Herlocker. The FCS Championship concludes January 9th in Frisco, Texas. It's the championship game on ESPN2 at noon. For more information, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Chase Morlock, who scored the first Bison touchdown, and the Eagle Scout dropped after a gain of a yard by Omar Howard. So 3rd and 3 coming up for North Dakota State.
What's worked for them in these situations is getting Easton Stick on the move, who looks like a completely different player this week than he did last week. He looks much more comfortable, more accurate, and he seems like he's in much more command. I'd put the ball in his hands, as it looks like they will in this empty set.
And they love to run draw out of this empty set as well with the quarterback. Stick will throw it sideline, broken up. Terrific play on the ball by Kieran Gregory.
Yeah, he gets a great jump on the ball. What helps him, though, is that Easton Stick is a little bit late on this throw. You've got to get that ball out of your hand more quickly, and that's the second time today that we've seen the Spiders defense get their hand on the football and not be able to come up with that turnover. If you're going to be special in the back end, you've got to be able to create takeaways and get them when you have an opportunity.
Cam Peterson has struggled in this postseason. Just 1 out of 6. This one from 36, not close. And the kicking woes continue. And Peterson struggles. Keep leaving the door open for the Spiders. The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Proud to be an official financial planning partner of the NCAA. And in part by Audi. Challenge all givens. A number of the Bison football players graduated this morning. That includes punter Ben LeCompte, an All-American. And after that last missed field goal by Cam Peterson, we saw LeCompte kicking into the net. He might get the next field goal attempt for North Dakota State.
Yeah, I think it's the right move.
So for Richmond, they go for it on 4th down, don't get it, but don't give up any points as we have another penalty.
False start. Offense, number 9. 5-yard penalty. 4-4 count.
You heard us mention early on in the broadcast how the noise affects the communication along the offense. But when you're relying on that silent count, and if any player from North Dakota State moves, that's when offensive linemen are inclined to get those false starts, and you saw it there.
Lauletta moves the pocket, steps up, he'll take a shot downfield. Brown is wide open, but the throw offline. If he hits Brian Brown in stride, that gets Richmond on the board.
He just got behind the defense, and it looks like they were in some type of cover 2 concept. You see Lauletta moving to his right, which they feel comfortable with him doing. And the safety in the middle of the field, which looks to be, I believe that was Trey Dempsey, just didn't quite see him behind him. That is a mental error that the Richmond Spiders must take advantage of.
Edge pressure, the screen to Green. And Jacoby Green wrapped up shy of the 20 by MJ Stumpf. Green had 4 touchdowns in the win against Illinois State last week. 7 TDs in the 2 playoff games.
Now, he's a smaller back, but he runs kind of like a big power back. You know, he's a physical player demonstrating good pull-through and strong finishing effort when you watch him on film. This one-on-one matchup here.
Lauletta is hit. His pass incomplete, intended for Reggie Diggs. The throw was there. The Bison just zoomed in on Diggs as the ball got to him.
Yeah, and you see him there coming off the field. That ball is thrown in a great location. You can see there Diggs with the alligator arms trying to bring that thing back down. He was bracing himself for the hit, but you got to give credit to this North Dakota State defense. Right now, they are playing like a bunch of madmen.
Perkins to return. He had a 53-yard return in the first quarter. He doesn't get very far. A 40-yard punt by Helkowski. North Dakota State has become the flagship school of the FCS. The numbers just speak in the imperative. They've won 4 straight titles. They've done it with 2 quarterbacks, 2 head coaches. If Easton Stick is the guy to take North Dakota State all the way again this year, that would be 5 titles with 3 different QBs. It has been an incredible run. Here they are in the semifinals. And there is Carson Wentz, who's on the sideline. Not many teams would recover from the loss of a guy like Wentz, who is a projected top 40 pick. Bruce Anderson running toward the edge, and he's tripped up at midfield after a gain of 7 yards. There is Carson Wentz. Mel Kiper has him as the number 3 draft eligible quarterback prospect. Todd McShay, number 4. He's not playing today, obviously, in street clothes, but if the Bison can get to Frisco, head coach Chris Kleiman left the possibility of a Wentz return open. Frazier breaks a tackle and finally pulled down from behind by Ayo Oguni.
He's running right now so physical. I mean, right now he's running the football like he's playing defense. And what I love about his running style is the way that he runs behind his pads. It's so hard to tackle when you're on defense, when you've got a guy that gives you the hard parts of his body. His helmet, his shoulder pads, and his knees. And King Frazier is an example of that. 9 carries right now for 79 yards.
Offensively, at times this postseason in the 2 games, North Dakota State has looked stagnant. They've relied on defense and special teams. Entering tonight, the special teams has scored twice in the playoffs. The defense had scored twice in the win against Montana. The offense had totaled 4 touchdowns. Well, this is vintage North Dakota State football when they can run the ball down your throat, and they've been able to do that today in large part because of Frazier.
Well, and you think about the beating you take. The young man that just came up, David Herlocker, was in on the play trying to tackle King Frazier and actually got ran through. And the difference has been right now, King Frazier has more yards than this entire Richmond team. That's how well he's running the football.
Richmond with just 1 rushing yard in this game. North Dakota State 127. Two tight end set. Morlock to the 20. A gain of 2. You look at time of possession. The Bison have had it for almost 14 minutes now. And that statistic rears its head in the fourth quarter.
You can do that when you've got guys up front that are playing the way they are. Left guard Zach Johnson, center Austin Kunert, and also right guard Jeremy Kelly are the reason why the power has been so effective.
This is Morlock again. And he's tripped up at the 15-yard line. Omar Howard, who's had a nice first half, he had the tackle. The only game in the last 29 that the Bison did not win the time of possession battle, the home loss to South Dakota, that was following a loss to Northern Iowa. And Chris Kleiman told us he had concerns going into this game. Northern Iowa is a physically and mentally exhausting game for this team. It's a big rivalry in the Missouri Valley, and he wondered how his team would respond. Frazier appears to have the first down.
Wasn't hard to guess what they were going to run there. They went back to the power. Play has provided most of the yardage they picked up today.
They will measure. A first down for the Bison. Danny Rocco's Richmond team was not expected to come this far, but those expectations were external. He told us internally he knew pretty quickly he had a good team despite losing 23 seniors off of what was a playoff team a year ago.
Yeah, and this defense looks worn down, and you can tell they are really enforcing their will right now. North Dakota State is on this Richmond defense.
Vra motions, stick, play action, looking for Vra in the end zone. Touchdown, Bison! And now on to kick the point after is Ben LeCompte. Cam Peterson missed a couple of field goals. And LeCompte on for the PAT. Chris Kleiman told us last week LeCompte can handle the place kicking duties. In fact, they toyed with the idea of using him in that role this season, but didn't want to wear him out and take away from his greatest strength, which is punting the football.
Yeah, watch the throw here from under center for Easton Stick. I told you, he looks like a different man. 5-step drop, puts it in a great window. Vra with the catch.
You're watching the FCS playoffs. It is the semifinals. The championship game January 9th in Frisco. The winner of tonight's game against the winner of Sam Houston State and Jacksonville State. The Bearcats, the only unseeded team left. Jacksonville State, the #1 overall seed. And that's a Gamecocks team that only has one loss, which is to Auburn and that was in overtime. And if you watched that game, you walked away saying Jacksonville State should have won.
They've got a talented bunch, that's for sure.
Richmond needs a spark, down 20-0, 6:04 to go in the first half. Kick by LeCompte. Touchback. Monday Night Football on ESPN. It all starts with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 6. Kickoff between the Lions and the Saints at 8:15 Eastern. Punt, punt, turnover on downs, punt. Richmond has not had a drive tonight more than 5 plays long.
That's just amazing. And after watching this North Dakota State defense a week ago, you didn't know if they could top the performance that they had versus Northern Iowa, but they are certainly trying here tonight.
Off play action, Lauletta. And he's got Brian Brown for a gain of 3. Brown, the first wide receiver in Richmond history with multiple 1,000-yard seasons. He was a 3rd-team All-American, 1st-team All-Conference.
Richmond really likes to get into their play-action game, but when the running game is ineffective, the defense doesn't have to account for the running game, and so it's a lot easier to defend the play-action pass. They really do need to get their running game going in order to be able to open up their playbook.
The Bison bring the safety down. Lauletta. Miscommunication, and it's intercepted. C.J. Smith across midfield, and Smith takes it inside the 40 of Richmond. 8th career interception, 4th this season for the senior from Minnesota.
Miscommunication on the part of the quarterback and the wide receiver here. It looks like Lauletta thinks he's going to turn this into a fade route. He hits an out, and just an easy interception for C.J. Smith. But you got to give this kid credit, C.J. Smith. He's the active leader in FBS when it comes to defending passes. He doesn't have excellent ball skills, but to be able to make that catch really shows you how much he's improved. We saw him really step his game up last week and have some key plays for this Bison defense, and he does it once again.
Anderson going in motion. He gets it on the throw from Stick. A block from Bonnet, 2 blocks from Bonnet. And Bruce Anderson takes it to the 35-yard line, a gain of 10. Oh, you just saw why Andrew Bonnet is an All-American fullback. Number 46 in green. Took out 2 tacklers.
I love it. You know, he just has the right attitude to play the position, and they use him all over the field. Slot, fullback, H-back, you name it. He's everywhere.
Easton Stick, meanwhile, 9 out of 11. A couple of TD passes. Stick will keep it on the read option and does not get very far. Tackled by Andrew Clyde, the redshirt freshman D lineman who's from Dallas, Texas, and he has really emerged this season for Danny Rocco's defensive front. 6 sacks for Clyde.
That was just a great job of defending it. They tried to go with some misdirection there to confuse the defense, get them headed in one direction, but the Richmond Spider defense just wasn't having it.
You got a feel for this Spider defense. It feels that they've been on the field for pretty much this entire first half. Stick, quick release, ball's in the air, intercepted by Jones. A late flag at the end of the play. Man, did Richmond need that. Let's see if this holds up.
And that was a receiver downfield. Number 88 was a covered tight end and went downfield. That's a 5-yard penalty, 2nd down. Number 10 for the defense. Helmet came off during the play. He must sit out one play.
Yeah, you talked about the Spiders needing that, and it started with their middle linebacker, number 23. Watch Selton Hodge here get his hand on the ball there, and that ball was thrown just a tad bit behind the target there, and that's what allowed him to make that play. Good concentration. He was in the right place to make an interception, Trevor Jones was, and now what can this Spiders offense do with a takeaway from their defense?
I don't think they mentioned that penalty was declined. Richmond has it after the turnover. Out of the I formation, Lauletta under center. Here's Green. He has not had much running room. And the All-American stopped after a gain of a yard. Only 2 rushing yards in this first half for Richmond. That was just the 17th play this offense has run. They haven't even had a chance to get into any kind of a rhythm.
Yeah, right now, the Bison are just playing team defense, team tackling, gang tackling, and it is such a demoralizing maneuver in football. And all good defensive teams do it, and right now the Bison are certainly doing it.
Green again. This Bison defense also doesn't miss many tackles. We saw that last week. That was an issue early in the season. They've cleaned it up.
You're right. And the one thing that when you have good defensive units, even if you miss a tackle and guys run to the football the way that they've been running to the football in this first half, the next guy is there to clean up the tackle.
Richmond 49% on third downs this season, 6th in the nation, 0 for 4 today. Here's the blitz. Here's the flag.
False start offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty.
It's the left guard, Caleb High. 3rd penalty on Richmond in this half. They had 3 total penalties in their previous 2 playoff games.
It's just not something that you see from a Rocco team. Sometimes it's between the years. When things start rolling downhill, it's hard for a team to gain the momentum back and also restore their confidence.
Lauletta, the redshirt sophomore, escapes on the run. Middle of the field, wide open. And that is Brian Brown all the way to the 38, a gain of 21, and a much-needed first down by the Spiders.
And that time there, they actually got home base. You'll see the left end, Brad Ambrosius, misses the play, which allows Lauletta the ability to break the pocket. That's the most dangerous play in football. When a quarterback's on the run, on the move, especially to his right, if you're a right-handed quarterback, easy for him to find his top target, Brown, downfield.
2 tight ends to the right, 2 receivers to the left. Fisher, the former All-American, in the backfield. Play action. Lauletta downfield in traffic, incomplete. He wanted Stephon Jacob, the redshirt freshman out of Damascus, Maryland.
Had him open there. Just the timing and too much air under that ball. He was trying to get it over the hands of the linebacker there. And then at the end of the play, the freshman, Robbie Grimsley, who they really like on this team, with a hit that jarred the ball loose.
The Bison do not play many true freshmen. Grimsley, just 1 of 4 suiting up this season. Incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd down. Wilkins the target. Kyle Lauletta, 2nd in the FCS in passing yards. And one thing Richmond does have in the back pocket, the run game, yes, has not been there so far. But this is a team that can beat you through the air. Some of the opponents the Bison have faced in this postseason, if you make them one-dimensional, that changes the game. Richmond can beat you both ways.
We're going to see it here in this 2-minute offense. If they can produce some points, something they haven't been able to do here all day long.
The blitz again. Lauletta buying time, dumps it off, and Fisher drops it.
This doesn't look like the same Richmond team that went into Illinois State's house last week and took their heart. From start to finish, they control that game. They've come out here today, and I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's finals that these young men are going through, but something's not clicking right now for this Richmond team.
Eric Perkins back deep, Helkowski on for the punt. Perkins across the 25, burst of speed. He has an opening. One man to beat, it's the punter. Perkins to the 20. Touchdown Bison, special teams again. Danny Rocco's face just said, get me to halftime.
No question about it.
Eric Perkins returned a punt 53 yards in the first quarter. That one 88 for the score. It is the third special teams touchdown by the Bison this postseason, as the extra point is no good. They've been great in the return game, not so much in the kicking game tonight.
But when you get plays like this, it makes up for that. Just watch the return here. Very special. Does a good job of finding his way through traffic. Picked up a couple blocks along the way. But for the most part, this was just Eric Perkins making a play. The young man from Wisconsin, his second big return today. He's done a good job today of making the right decision. He hasn't had fair catches, and you can tell he is attacking this Richmond punt return unit.
Bruce Anderson, the freshman, returned a kick. 100 yards in the second round win against Montana. Anderson opened the second half against Northern Iowa with a 97-yard return. And now Perkins in the punt return game joins the fiesta.
He's showing adequate patience and the ability to really see the play developing in front of him. And one of the greatest assets for any returner is to be able to catch the football and immediately when you see that first image to know where to go. And he's really shown the capacity today to be able to see that and to find the right holes and hit them.
We've seen this movie before. Teams that come into the Fargo Dome that have never been here before. And what we're seeing out of Richmond is nothing new. It happened in New Hampshire a couple of years ago. It happened to Sam Houston State in the semifinals last year. And by the time teams figure it out, sometimes it's too late. No shot for Collins to return this one. We've got halftime coming up for you as soon as a minute and 31 elapses. Chris Cotter in the studio with Danny Cannell. And Ahmad, your boy Ricky Williams is hanging out as well. They'll preview the Holy War. It's the Royal Purple Las Vegas Bowl, the setting for BYU and Utah. Those two not supposed to play this year. A 2-year hiatus from their rivalry. But Las Vegas with a sense of humor pitting those two together in the bowl game. The tight end, Garrett Hudson, with the reception. Hudson, a transfer from North Carolina. There is laundry on the field.
There's no play run. Prior to the snap, false start. Number 74. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So already more penalties in this first half for Richmond than the previous 2 games combined.
Wow, man, they're shooting themselves in the foot right now. And when you talked to Coach Rocco earlier in the week, he said, our offensive line is one of the best I've been around. He believes it's the best in the FCS. And when you look at what North Dakota State has been able to do to them, the penalties, hard to believe right now.
Even Bison head coach Chris Kleiman said this O-line for Richmond is the best he's seen this season. An All-American at left tackle and a center and right guard that were both all-conference. Not quite sure what's the reason for the holdup.
Well, the referee is on the sideline. Bison sideline now. He's coming off the sideline.
Clock issue, so they'll reset the clock. Ambrosius edge pressure, and he gets the sack on Lauletta back at the 15-yard line.
Wow, excellent ball get off. He really timed his jump here on the ball. You saw him miss a sack previously. He comes back. He was not going to miscontain. Great job of using his hands there on the offensive line. And an athletic play to just jump into the face of the quarterback. A big play there to put Lauletta and the Spiders offense further behind the sticks.
The Bison do not call a timeout to stop the clock. Play clock at 4, at 3. Lauletta running. Nowhere to go. Contact along that near sideline, but the ball ruled incomplete. Jordan Champion covering Brian Brown, and it's 3rd and 20. And Richmond, an offense that ranks top 15 in the FCS, top 25 passing and rushing. They have been shackled by North Dakota State.
You're absolutely right, Anish. And this North Dakota State defense has done it with physical presence and fundamentals. They're doing a great job of tackling. You haven't seen a lot of blown assignments, and even when you have, the Spiders haven't been able to take advantage of it.
Ambrosius again off the edge. Ball is loose. That's lob. Jacoby Green able to recover it. It'll go as a loss of a yard. It's 4th down, 30 seconds to go in the half. Second sack on this drive by Brad Ambrosius.
Yeah, just watch Ambrosius once again. Great move there. Really is doing an excellent job there on Patrick
I guess
Kleber.
That ball was not a fumble. Ambrosius hit the quarterback's arm, and Green caught it and then got out of bounds. They will not even try to kick this one to Perkins. It'll go out of bounds, and let's see where it's marked out. The Bison will have it in Richmond territory at the 41-yard line. 2 timeouts left. Only a 27-yard punt, so you want to kick it away from Perkins. Now you open the door for North Dakota State to tack on some more before the half. Maybe part of Danny Rocco's thinking, though, is the kicking game has not been there for the Bison. Cam Peterson missed 2 extra points have gone awry for the Bison as well.
Perkins won't get credited for those yards, but it's his ability and what he's been able to do early on is the reason why they're trying to directional punt.
They'll call a run play. That's Lance Dunn, and he picks up 8 to the 33-yard line. Timeout North Dakota State. 17 seconds to go here in this opening half. It has been all Bison. We'll step aside as well. 2nd and 2, North Dakota State. Richmond last week ended Illinois State's 19-game home win streak. But here at the Fargo Dome, it's been a different story. All Bison. 2nd and 2, 1 timeout left, 17 seconds to go in the half. Stick down the sideline, and that is incomplete. He wanted his running back, King Frazier. 3rd and 2, ball on the 33. So from here, you're looking at about a 50-yard field goal if the Bison are not able to advance it.
With that 1 timeout, it still allows the Bison to be able to go to the middle of the field and still be able to call a timeout. That time they're trying to get it to the sideline. But with that 1 timeout, they really can still utilize the entire field.
Play action on 3rd and 2. Stick downfield. Incomplete. He wanted Vra. And it's 4th and 2, 6 seconds left. And let's see if the kicking team comes on.
They tried to take a shot downfield. Max protect, only had 2-man routes. Did a nice post corner on both sides of the field. Stick just wasn't able to throw the ball on target.
Offense stays out on the field. Remember, Cam Peterson, the freshman, missed 2 field goals in this first half. He's 1 out of 7 in the postseason. Ben Lecomte attempted the last 2 extra points. So not a lot of faith in this kicking game, and Chris Kleiman will go for it here on 4th and 2. He still has a timeout. Incomplete, and that will take us to halftime. North Dakota State appears headed back to Frisco. They've got a 26-0 halftime lead. Eric Perkins, an 88-yard punt return to the studio now. And Chris Cotter.
Thank you, Anish. Danny Cannell, Ricky Williams here in studio with me here for the halftime report. And what a complete domination here, Ricky. Even on that first drive for North Dakota State, I looked over and you had a smile on your face as they were going power, power, power. You know what's coming, and yet you can't stop us.
It's my type of football. Watching the Big 12 this year, a lot of spread. I like to see 2 tight ends running the power downhill. They're doing it on defense, doing it on special teams. 2 big returns by Eric Perkins. They look really good.
They look good, look solid. And, you know, Richmond had that one chance down 13-0 with that 85-yard bomb that they couldn't complete to get some momentum, and then the Bison came right back down and scored. They got to take advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, you've got to make those plays, especially when you're going against one of the best dynasties in college football right now with North Dakota State. The way they've been running the football, the way they've been dominating both sides of football, it's really impressive what they're able to do. You look at defense, this is a short yardage situation when Richmond's trying to extend a drive. They can't convert. You see here the swarming defense rushing to the ball. And then on 4th 1, how about the play from Nick DeLuca, first team all-conference? How about this tackle right there? Bam. I mean, he absolutely stones him right there in the hole. Exceptional play. And that's been the type of half it's been.
2 first downs for Richmond. They've been outgained on the ground 145-1. As you mentioned, more return yards for North Dakota State than Richmond has rushing yards, and it all equals a 26-0 lead for North Dakota State at the half. Speaking of dynasties, either Mount Union or Wisconsin Whitewater, one of those 2 teams has won the Division III national title in each of the last 10 years. St. Thomas and Minnesota trying to change that. It was a good game early, too. Maurice Scott finds Roman Namdar here to just tie the game for Mount Union. Danny, look at this unbelievable catch here by Nick Waldvogel. Wide open.
Hey, Cats, what about the quarterback? Extending the play? Come on, Cotter, give the QB some love. That was all the quarterback there.
21-14. Here's the catch right here, Ricky. Juggling it, bobbling it, but Lane Clark brings it in.
Yeah, great focus and concentration to make sure to secure the.
That's a great job making a good throw. Look like it's a tough one. No, that was a great catch.
You're really supporting the quarterback here. Clark, meanwhile, held on to that one. But how about Mount Union really starting to spread this thing out now? Scott, the quarterback, keeps it 17 yards, 35-21 right now over St. Thomas in the third quarter. This game over on ESPNU. Holy War in Sin City. I like the sound of that. We're going to talk about the Royal Purple Las Vegas Bowl between BYU and Utah when we come back. Well, King Frazier, part of this Bison onslaught here for North Dakota State in the first half. As Ricky said, nice to see some power football here. 26-0. North Dakota State on top. Semifinals. The other semifinal game tomorrow in FCS. How about the bowl schedule, though? Because bowl mania is upon us. Starts at noon on ABC. Carries right through the day on both ESPN and on ABC. Wrapping things up late in the evening. And Danny, myself, and Ricky will be here all day. And let's talk about the Holy War. The Royal Purple Las Vegas Bowl, Utah and BYU. How did these teams get here? Had the big win by Utah to open up the season against Michigan. Then they went on the road, Ricky, on September 26th and handed it to Oregon. Things were looking great for the Utes.
Yeah, they were off to a great start and then started to run into some bad luck a little bit later in the season.
They did, and it happened exactly when they were 6-0, number 3 in the nation, and it was in the Coliseum against USC. SC played great on both sides of the ball, Danny. Travis Wilson, really, this was his first really tough game of the year. Picked off, 3 times?
Yeah, remember this game? Utah was ranked 3rd, and yet USC was the favorite because of the athletes that were on the field. And Utah got off to that 6-0 start because of the schedule. And then once it got tough, I think they started having more challenges with tougher teams.
They won 2 straight games, then they visited Arizona. Double overtime. Gerard Randall found Nate Phillips. Arizona won that one. Then Utah hosted UCLA. Rosen had himself a game. 17-9 UCLA got the win. So struggling a little bit, but then closing out the season strong at home against Colorado. Trying to build a rivalry there in the Pac-12 between Utah and Colorado. It's been all Utah, though, since these teams joined the conference. 20-14, Utah got the win there. What about BYU? How did BYU get here? Well, we all know about the miracles, and the plural, early in the year, and it started off with this one here, Danny, against Nebraska with Tanner Mangum, the freshman.
You thought, how can it get any better than that? You see the elation on Bronco Mendenhall? Well, guess what? You didn't have to wait that long.
No, the very next day, they got the win, or next week, they got the win against Boise State. But then they also ran into trouble there. Back-to-back losses on the road. Michigan and UCLA. So they dropped to 2-2 on the year, though. Week 10, they visited Missouri. The day after Coach Gary Pinkel announced his retirement. And BYU's 3rd loss of the season, 20-16. But seeking revenge, though, they would also close out the season strong. Back-to-back 50-point games. First on Senior Day versus Fresno State. And then they won the wagon wheel against Utah State, 51-28. Mangum would finish the day with 4 touchdowns. Up and down like a lot of freshmen, but he has so much potential when you talk about what he can do here over the next few years at BYU, but he's going to do it without his head coach, Bronco Mendenhall. What do you think, Ricky, about the decision for him to go from BYU to Virginia? It's not a strange decision, but it's a big jump across the country, and also different recruiting, conference, all kinds of things. A very different job.
Yeah, well, I think his problem at BYU was they didn't have a conference. They weren't getting the respect. They win 10 games and they don't get the respect they deserve. He's now going over to a Big 5 conference. He's got a chance to earn some respect and playing some bigger bowl games.
This was a weird move. I mean, usually you hear names and, our reporters do a pretty good job of figuring out who's going to go where. Nobody saw this one coming. And it is an odd move because Bronco Mendenhall is not used to recruiting the East Coast. But I think what he brings is some name recognition. When Mike London was hired at Virginia, I think a lot of people were like, who is this guy? People know who Bronco Mendenhall is, and that will bring some instant, name recognition, some credibility to him as he goes out into opposing homes. But it's going to be a challenge. Virginia is a tough place to win because of the academic requirements. And look, they're going against Virginia Tech, who, in the last 10 years, Frank Beamer built that program up. Now Justin Fuente takes over. They've really become the school to go to in that area.
Still, though, an opportunity, though.
Yeah, with Bronco, he's a winner, and that's what he's bringing. Virginia hasn't won very much. They had 2 winning seasons the past decade. And Mendenhall at BYU didn't have a losing season. So I think he brings a winning attitude. He graduates his players, which is going to go over well in Virginia. I think he's going to do all right.
Yeah, I think he'll do good, too.
Watch the Royal Purple Las Vegas Bowl and all of the bowl games.
Could be chippy.
Capital One Bowl
These guys don't like each other.
It's going to be chippy, yeah. No question about that. They're playing for the Beehive Boots. Download the Watch ESPN app. And as I said, you can watch all those games streaming from the Capital One Bowl Mania. Chase Morlock with the catch here for North Dakota State. It's been all buys and 26-0 at the half. College basketball score to update you on. Our former colleague Chris Mullen. It's going to be a long turnaround there at St. John's. Incarnate Word from San Antonio beats the Johnnies. Largest non-conference loss for the Red Storm since 2006. Easton Stick What an awesome name Easton Stick is. Finding Zach Vraw, 26-0, Bison on top of the half.
The regular season has tested, eliminated, and ultimately chosen the 4 surviving teams for the college football playoff.
Touchdown, MSU!
4 teams, 4 chances, 1 champion. The college football playoff on ESPN.
The Bison have dominated on offense, defense, and in the return game, pretty much in every phase of the game except for their own kicking game. Here, Eric Perkins takes the punt. This is his second big return of the day. This one he takes to the house. It's 26-0 Bison. Second half from the Fargo Dome coming up.
And he's at the 10-yard line. He's at the 5-yard line. He's going down in, and he's going to score the touchdown.
North Dakota State wins the first FCS title in North Dakota State history.
Stutter step, takes it between left guard, breaks the tackle at the 10, at the 5, touchdown.
Hey, I'll tell you what, in this football team up here, one heck of a job today, guys. Back-to-back national champions.
And Jensen running off the left side is across the goal line. Touchdown!
Something special here that we got within this team. NDSU, the fans, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And Wentz is going to keep it.
Wentz into the end zone!
The Dakota dynasty lives on. 4 consecutive titles. This is becoming something bigger than a dynasty, maybe an empire. The Bison 30 minutes away from a trip to Frisco and playing for a 5th consecutive national championship. They've done it with defense in this first half.
They've been so stingy. I mean, when you look at it, great tackling, great fundamentals. They've held this team to 1 rushing yard, 1 of 7 on third downs. And then on top of that, when you look at what they've been able to do, it's just been phenomenal. I mean, this defense continues to press. Richmond Spiders haven't had a drive today over 6 plays. It has been a dominant defensive performance for the Bison.
Anish Shroff, Famad Brooks. Richmond also has struggled with this environment, the Fargo Dome. It can be so tough on visitors. Richmond got off to a bad start, never really recovered, and in a monster hole to open the third quarter. Richmond to receive. The ball just fell off the tee. Can't blame the wind here inside the Fargo Dome.
That was a good one, Anish.
Tell you what, this crowd was rocking in the first half. You told me as soon as we got to halftime, there's magic in this place. Your second game here. What do you like about the Fargo Dome?
Well, I mean, obviously the fans. Yeah, and the way that this team plays, inspired because of these fans and the way that they show. It's really hard not to be energized when you walk into this stadium.
Richmond ball at the 25. The big 3 for Richmond. So great throughout the course of the season. The quarterback Laletta, the running back Green, the top wideout Brian Brown. Tonight, modest numbers, to be polite.
At best. And I think the most surprising number there is Jacoby Green, who had rushed for 1,200 yards in the last 7 games. But this North Dakota State defense has done a good job of staying in their lanes, whether that's a rush lane, passing lane, and really preventing him from breaking loose.
The give is to Jacoby Green on first down and fights his way to the 30 for a gain of 5, tackled by Champion. How good has this Bison defense been?
Well, just watch it here. I mean, you see it, them fighting through blockers. Nick DeLuca there. Coming back, they try to get to the play action. He doesn't have time to throw the football. And then here, 4th down play, Nick DeLuca doing a Superman impression, jumping over the line. And then right here, Ambrosia with a nice Sack there, tackle for loss. This Bison defense has been stingy.
Play action, Lauletta chased, finds Green out of the backfield, and he's out of bounds right at the 35-yard line. We'll mark him a little shy, I guess, of that first down marker, so 3rd and 1. Green, a pretty good receiver, came into the game with 24 catches.
And I know it doesn't seem like much, but if the Spiders are able to convert here on this first down, it really does help, because they only had 1 3rd down conversion in the entire first half.
TJ Moon, the fullback, 2 tight ends. Play clock at 5. There's Green, and he plunges ahead to the 35 for a first down. To be honest, Ahmad, if Richmond didn't get it there, I could easily see Danny Rocco going for it. David Broadus checks into the game at quarterback for Lauletta. Lauletta banged up this week, got hurt in the Illinois State game, left, came back in, didn't practice the early part of the week, but Broadus is a specialty guy. He's the running quarterback. Gets a block from Fisher, and Broadus stumbles to the 43, a gain of 5. Lauletta back in here on 2nd and 5. The Spiders have not been past the North Dakota State 47-yard line. There's Seth Fisher, and he's to the 45. It brings up 3rd and 4. Fisher was an All-American last year, began the season splitting carries with Jacoby Green. Suffered a high ankle sprain in mid-October, missed the rest of the regular season. They're working him back into the rotation, but right now Green's the #1 guy.
Big 3rd down here, and this Bison secondary has been playing what you call a bell technique, preventing these guys from getting over the top. And it appears as though it's tight coverage on the outside, and then they bail right before the snap to be able to see the quarterback.
Hudson, the tight end, in motion. Lauletta's throw caught by Hudson. Hudson tiptoeing the sideline to the 10, leaping, and Richmond is on the board.
What a great throw there by Lauletta.
They may look at this to see if he stepped out of bounds.
Not there. Not there. Looks like this is going to be good.
6'4", 240. Ooh, right there. Did he clip the end line or the sideline? Now, no signal yet from the referees. And the replay booth looked at it upstairs, but not reviewing it. So it stands as a touchdown. Richmond on the board. They needed that badly. And now the point after attempt by Peter Yoder. He missed 2 PATs last week, but this one is true. Kyle Lauletta and the Spiders finally catch a break and get on the scoreboard. The NCAA FCS Football Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual. Anish Ahmad Brooks here in Fargo. The Bison leading Richmond at 26-7. The winner will take on the Jacksonville State Sam Houston State winner in the championship game January 9th in Frisco. Jacksonville State, Sam Houston State tomorrow on ESPNU. There's Garrett Hudson. He's normally the backup tight end, but starter Nick Holloway hasn't seen the field today. Danny Rocco told us Holloway could be out And Hudson with a 55-yard reception. To give you an idea, Richmond in the first half had 67 total yards as a team.
Wow.
Peter Yoder to kick it off. And Bruce Anderson, who's returned to 2 kicks for a touchdown in these postseason games, back deep for the Bison. Anderson stays put. The head coach for Richmond is Danny Rocco, and he's been influenced by some of the biggest coaching names in football. He played at Penn State and Wake Forest, played for Joe Pa, also played and then later coached under Al Groh. He was on Al Groh's staff with the Jets, also at Wake Forest. He coached for Bill McCartney at Colorado and for Tom Coughlin at Boston College. It's a pretty impressive list of guys who Rocco has played and coached under, and you can tell he's influenced by that old school mentality that a lot of those coaches have.
Absolutely.
Out of the 2 tight end look, here's King Frazier, and he is corralled by Jerry L. Jordan. Rocco, the Colonial Athletic Conference Coach of the Year. Richmond 3-1 in the FCS playoffs under Rocco. When the Spiders won it all in 2008, their head coach was Mike London, who then later went to Virginia, and London was let go after this past season, but landed on DJ Durkin's staff at Maryland. Frazier across the 35 to the 36, another first down for the Bison. It's a gain of 9.
Back to the power.
Frazier up to 94 yards on the evening.
First and 10 for the Thundering Herd at the 37-yard line.
Two tight ends to the left. Here's Dunn running weak side, gets a couple of blocks, and Lance Dunn gets to the 49-yard line. Finally brought down by the D lineman DeAnthony Muse. The Bison move the chains.
Great awareness there by Dunn. That play was designed to go inside. He ended up bouncing it out and making something happen. The young man there from Iowa doing a fine job of utilizing his vision and making something out of nothing on that play.
North Dakota State head coach Chris Kleiman said the winner of this game would be the team that can run the football. So far, the Bison have been able to do it. Richmond, not so much. Stick. Nearly intercepted. He's been late to the sideline a few times tonight. He's only been intercepted once on a tip pass, but Ahmad, you know, as a quarterback can't be late to the sideline.
You can't. And what I did not like about that is he's moving to his left. It's a lot harder for a quarterback, especially a right-handed quarterback, to be able to move and throw that way. What he had to do, you saw him, he had to square his shoulders. That takes time, and he can't get the ball off as quick as he'd like to fit it in that window.
This is a Richmond defense with 21 interceptions, tops in the FCS. Dunn bounces to the outside and then stood up at midfield. Ayo Oguni, the all-conference corner, with a nice tackle from the secondary, and it's 3rd down and 9. And if Richmond can get a stop here and get the ball back, they've got a little confidence now offensively. It changes the tenor of this game.
Well, and if you're Rocco, you go into halftime and you tell these guys they've got a half left of football. You've got to put it all on the line. You've got to come out of here knowing that you've exhausted all of your energy and done everything you can to keep your team from losing today and their season ending.
Across the middle, that is caught, but short of the first down marker. It'll bring up a 4th down. Darius Shepard on the reception. Trevor Jones down on one knee.
Trevor Jones.
Jones, a kid who was recruited out of high school as an athlete, and why not? In Charles City, Virginia, he played quarterback, safety, linebacker, wide receiver, returned kicks, punted, and as a freshman and sophomore, he was also a long snapper.
Yeah, and then you look at his size, too. Part of the reason he's taking a beating in here going up against a much larger offensive line. Kid's only 5'10", 188 pounds. That's why he's been able to play all those positions. Right now, he's still a tweener, trying to develop there as a linebacker. But, yeah, he's been the utility man for them the entire year.
First punt of the night for Ben LeCompte, who was the MVP of the quarterfinal win. LeCompte magnificent against Northern Iowa last week, changed field position, dropped some punts inside the 10. A first-team All-American for good reason, and this one will pin Richmond inside its own 15. Saturday on ABC, it's the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl. SWAC against MEAC. Arizona meets New Mexico in the Gildan New Mexico Bowl. And then it's BYU and Utah, the Royal Purple Las Vegas Bowl. The Holy War has a home this year in Vegas.
I love this time of the year. Sit on your couch, eat some cheese dip, watch some football, hang out with the family. I love it.
The guy with your build, the cheese dip?
Of course.
There's Jacoby Green, and he's to the 16-yard line. I had you pegged for a pita and hummus guy. A healthier snack, Ahmad.
I appreciate that, though. I do.
We're stuck with that in my household. The wife only buys organic.
Poor fellow.
Play action. Lauletta with time. He's going to go downfield. And he's got Brown in stride. A big game. Lauletta took a big hit at the end of the play. But that gets Richmond into North Dakota State territory, a gain of 42.
You know, those hits don't hurt as much when you hook up with your wide receiver downfield. Play action, because they were able to pick up some yards on first down. Lauletta doing an excellent job of standing tall in the pocket, getting the ball downfield, put just enough for air under that for Brown to run right underneath it. That was a big play that could lead to this offense really starting to get the feet under them and make some things happen.
Lauletta hit again, and that throw too high. He wanted Deshaun Tibbs, the redshirt sophomore out of Charlottesville, Virginia.
C.J. Smith was all over that play. Great coverage on the back end. Once again, they went back to play action.
Lauletta, only the second quarterback in Richmond history with 3,000-plus passing yards in a season. The other, his predecessor, Michael Strauss. This just the fourth play in Bison territory. Pressure from Tangway. Lots of room for Lauletta, and he's out of bounds at the 28. A first down and a gain of a baker's dozen.
And number 99, Nate Tangway, is going to be mad at himself when he sees this on film. He does a good job of shedding the block. Gets to the backfield, and Lauletta puts a move on him. And unfortunately, they couldn't keep and contain him in the pocket and keep the edge, set the edge. And that was a good run and great improvisation coming from Lauletta to be able to make things happen with his feet, something we didn't see him do in the first half.
Richmond much better in this third quarter. Play action again. Incomplete, broken up by C.J. Smith. Reggie Diggs was the intended target, and Diggs, An all-conference wideout still without a catch tonight.
Yeah, boys and girls, this is a textbook. You see him there. He goes with the left hand, the hand closest to the ball. That right hand is securing the tackle on the back of that wide receiver. That's how you break up a ball if you're not going to go with it with two hands. C.J. Smith, the last 2 weeks, has really dominated on the edges.
Free play. And Lauletta throws it away. I guess it was not a free play. I didn't see a flag. It looked like North Dakota State jumped, and Danny Rocco can't believe it either. Let's see if we can get another look.
Yeah, the officials missed one there. There's no question about it. And if you're Danny Rocco, I can understand why he's irate on the sideline. He has not stopped yelling, and rightfully so.
This crowd, it affects the players. It also impacts the referees. And a bad break there for Richmond. That should have been a free play. 3rd and 10. Lauletta hit. Incomplete. He wanted Brown. Jordan Champion on the coverage, and now a flag.
Looked like Champ just got a little too aggressive there on the slot on Brown. Got beat to the inside and
Pass interference on the defense, number 5. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
yeah, he's in the slot here. Now, this is a hard guy to check. But you watch him here. Great route there by Brown. And the right arm there, that's okay. Sometimes when you're trying to change direction, to use that to get your momentum around, what you can't do is hold on. You've got to release that arm if you're going to use that and put that in your arsenal. A good break there for the Spiders.
David Broadus into the game at quarterback. Thought about throwing it. Now he does. He wants Fisher. It's intercepted. There is a penalty marker down. And this one might be against the Bison. Trey Dempsey intercepted the football. There was a lot of contact down inside the 5. At first glance, it looked like one of the defenders covering Seth Fisher had his back turned to the ball.
Pass interference on the defense.
That's what we're looking at right there. It's a physical play, no doubt about it. You know, it all just depends on the official's discretion. Some officials will let that play, others won't. But 2 really unfortunate calls there for the Bison defense and back-to-back pass interference calls.
Okay, so are you saying that was a makeup call?
I didn't say that.
Lauletta pumps, rolls to his right, end zone, incomplete. He was looking for Diggs.
Yeah, Diggs is quite the weapon down here in the red zone. 6'4", 198. They really do like to look for him on key downs. They've done a fairly good job, this Bison defense, all day of keeping him contained.
When you were a defensive back at 5'8", how did you defend the bigger guys?
Well, you can't try to jump with them. What you've got to do is wait for them to start coming down when they're jumped and rake through their arms. That's the only shot you got when you're an undersized player like Jordan Champion is.
A give is to Green, slowed in the backfield by Schatz, and he only got a yard. Brian Schatz had a big tackle on Aaron Bailey of Northern Iowa in the end zone last week for a safety. 3rd and goal now for the Spiders. Lauletta, end zone. That's intercepted. Trey Dempsey, the sophomore from Lakeland, Florida.
What a fantastic play. I mean, this is just great coverage. He does a great job of rolling from the top of the route underneath. You'll see him transition on the back end. Here he is to the left of your screen. Takes the right angle at the ball. Instead of him staying over the top, they always tell you at the goal line, play underneath and let the 12th defender, which is the back line, help you. Squeeze down that passing window. Great technique there from the safety.
And for Richmond, so close to making this a two-score game. That cuts like the Fargo frost. A helmet popped off as King Frazier blasted right into that Richmond defense. Andrew Clyde lost his helmet, so by rule he has to come out for one play. And that's Ayo Oguni coming up hobbling.
Not good. He's a vital member of this secondary.
Injured spider is number 9. Ayo Oguni.
One of the strange first half stats for North Dakota State. The Bison had 4 drives that began in Richmond territory. Did not get a single point out of those. But in the drives that begun in North Dakota State territory, they were able to score. From the 2, 2nd and 9. Frazier up the middle. Driven back at the 4-yard line after a gain of 3.
They've defended the power much better here in this possession. That was the play that was really just eating this defense up in the first half. That time there, it's a lot easier when you know a team's backed up. You know that run's coming, and they really pinned their ears back and attacked the Bison.
Big play now for this Richmond defense. You get a stop here. You've got a chance to work with a short field with an offense that's shown it can move the ball in the second half. Chase Morlock knocked down at the 8-yard line. 4th down now for North Dakota State. And the Bison will look to the first-team All-American Ben LeCompte to try to flip the field. He's had some big punts in this postseason in the second-round win against Montana. A 71-yarder.
Amazing.
Hit one north of 60 last week in the win against Northern Iowa. David Jones, the deep man for Richmond, waiting at his own 40. Line drive kick. Takes a bounce. Jones from his 42 stumbles and is tackled right there. A 50-yard punt, no return, and Jones is down. The NCAA FCS Football Championship is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch to the Data Strong network. And Pizza Hut. Bring home the flavor. Only at Pizza Hut. With Ahmad Brooks, Anish Shroff, Richmond's All-American safety David Jones down on the field. He slipped on the punt return, took a big hit. We saw the replay up here in the booth, and we've made the decision not to show it. It was a gruesome injury, Ahmad. I know when you saw it for the first time in the replay monitor, you couldn't look. You turned away quickly.
You know, you have so many snaps and so many plays in football. And, you know, when you come away with good health, boy, is it a blessing. And you see a play like this, the guy who's been dynamite this entire year for them, I mean, literally tries to brace himself with his hand, and it was not good. And you just feel really bad for him.
His left arm right at the elbow, bent in a direction it should not go in. It was tough to watch for us up here, and again, we've made the decision not to show the replay. You can see what David Jones means to this Richmond team. The entire squad coming out to the 40-yard line as Jones gets carted off. This is a young man who was named a captain in December. 9 interceptions, tied for most in the FCS. Quite simply, one of the best defensive players in the FCS. He's a junior. He'll be back next year. But a gruesome season-ending injury here in Fargo, and we hope he can make a speedy recovery.
Indeed.
Again, a left arm injury, and right at the elbow joint. That forearm twisted in a direction it should not have gone. You hate to see that. On the return, Jones tried to brace himself with his left hand on the ground. The defender came in, and the forearm went backwards, and it was dangling. Jacoby Green gets the call on first down, picks up a couple. It'll bring up 2nd down and 8.
This is the best starting field position for the Spiders the entire game. And they were trying to establish the run early on, and one of the trends that we've seen from here in the second half is to run the football, come back with the play action pass, whether they're taking a shot downfield or trying to get Lauletta on the move, and it has worked for them early on.
They have moved the ball in this third quarter. A score on their first drive, the last one, ended up with a turnover in the red zone. Lauletta downfield for Diggs, and that's intercepted. There is a flag on the play. This is Dempsey again. Dempsey gets it to the 28-yard line of Richmond. Looks like he lost the ball. This might be pass interference against North Dakota State anyway.
My question is, was that ball catchable?
Oh, you saw the flag come in. Jordan Champion was on the coverage.
There was an interception on the play. Prior to the interception, pass interference on the defense, number 5. Automatic first down.
Well, Ahmad, we knew this was going to happen. They've been picking on Jordan Champion here in this third quarter.
Well, it's the matchup that they're looking towards, and you can't fault them for that. I mean, the guy has given up several inches, but you know, from our look here, it'll be to the left of your screen. I'm not sure how much contact I saw initially, but the second interception today negated that Trey Dempsey has had on a Bison penalty.
Champion's been flagged for pass interference 3 times. Here's Broadus into the game from the 45. And he powers ahead to the 42-yard line for a gain of 3.
Now, I really like how the Spiders use Broadus. He's a bigger body, and what it does is it takes some of those hits off of Lauletta, who's still trying to grow into his frame. He's 6'3", he's light in the pants at 208 pounds. So when you can bring in Broadus to run the football, it takes some of the pounding off of your starting quarterback.
Fisher tunnels to the 40-yard line. 3rd down coming up. Winner of this game moves on to the FCS championship. Richmond got there last in 2008 when the Spiders won it all. North Dakota State has won the FCS championship the last 4 years. One of the great runs in the history of college football.
Critical 3rd down here.
Here's the blitz. Picked up. Lauletta took too much time. Ambrosius with the sack.
I tell you what, Ambrosius has been special today. He's missed the sack, but you watch him here. This young man coming down right here from the bottom of your screen. Watch how fast he gets off the ball and then the effort. He just never gives up on the play. Watch him there. Quarterback thinks he has time. Comes from that blind spot. Fantastic play on third down for this entire Bison defense.
Fair catch signal by C.J. Smith. He makes it inside the 15. Missed opportunity for Richmond. 1:13 to go in the third. North Dakota State's second consecutive championship. A win against Sam Houston State, who they also beat in their first title in this 4-year run. The Bison came into this year's playoffs as a 3 seed. North Dakota State, Jacksonville State, and Richmond, the only seeded teams left. The Missouri Valley had 5 teams in the field of 24. The Colonial had 4. And the last 2 standing in those respective leagues playing tonight, the Bison and the Spiders. There's that 3-back look again. Easton Stick will keep it, and he glides ahead to the 20-yard line, tackled by Howard.
Yeah, make sure that was an excellent read there by Stick. As Anderson was coming across the field, he decided to keep it. And if you can keep this defense honest and make them respect his running ability, it just forces this defense to have more things to have to defend. So I like that play call, and especially considering that this offense hasn't scored on its last 3 possessions.
King Frazier thrown down by Trevor Jones at the 28. A reminder, the FCS Championship concludes January 9th in Frisco, Texas. Title game at noon Eastern on ESPN2. For more information, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships.
I really love what Frazier's doing right now. He's a young man that's always falling forward. And he's really flashed the ability to be able to really pound defenses. We saw that in the second half last week versus Northern Iowa, and he comes out here early on to show that he can do the same thing. 15 carries, 106 yards already. He's had a great game.
14 for 107 last week. Final play of the third quarter. This is Stick on the keeper. And he is spun down at the 37, a gain of 8. The 4 fingers go up on the Bison sideline. 1 quarter left to play here at the Fargo Dome. Can the Bison get to a 5th straight championship game? Start of the 4th quarter here in Fargo. Yeah, Mom's got to shell out tuition money, but that young man has a chance to see a 5th consecutive championship, one of the great runs in the history of college football. Now, they love their Bison in this city. Start of the 4th quarter, 2nd and 1. Easton Stick, the quarterback, will keep it, and he surges to the 41 for a first down for North Dakota State.
I really like what offensive coordinator Polasek is doing here. Like I said earlier in this ball game, expect to see Easton Stick run the football more. And they've been really able to allow him to run that zone read. He's making the right reads on that play and really been able to establish his running presence in the middle of the field.
Stick, a redshirt freshman out of Omaha, 7-0 as a starter. Done with a gain of 7. It is amazing to think just getting to the semifinals of the FCS playoffs for a 5th consecutive year would be an accomplishment. The Bison less than 15 minutes away from getting back to the championship game, playing for a 5th straight title. And for better or for worse, those are the expectations in Fargo for this program.
You're absolutely right.
There's Bruce Anderson. Gets a block. And Anderson with a first down. The running back directing traffic, pushing Austin Cooner into a defender.
I loved it. Great patience there that he showed, and the ability to get behind that 6'4" frame of Cooner to be able to hide from the defense, and then the last-minute burst to pick up the first down. And to your point about this place being so special, you know, the players play so hard, and they play hard to protect the reputation of this program. And just a bunch of guys who want to win, and it shows here every time you show up here in the Fargo Dome.
The tight end Luke Albers a couple of yards shy of the first down marker. They fill this place every game, regardless of the opponent. 19,000. And you can tell these are smart fans. When North Dakota State has the ball, I can hear you. When Richmond has the ball, a lot of times, Ahmad, I love you, but I can't hear a word you're saying.
Indeed.
King Frazier torpedoes ahead for a first down. The championship game is in Frisco, Texas. But the road to Frisco the last 4 years and now 5 years has gone through Fargo. The Bison do not lose in this building, especially in the postseason. They've never lost an FCS playoff game here. As you just saw, the last home playoff loss in 1991 to Minnesota Mankato. That's when the Bison were a D2 school.
That's amazing.
North Dakota State will keep it on the ground. Frazier lowers his shoulder, gets inside the 30. A flag.
Holding on the offense, number 25, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Chase Morlock. Chris Kleiman succeeded Craig Bohl as head coach. Kleiman was doing most of the coaching a couple of years ago when the Bison won their third straight title. Bohl at that point had accepted the Wyoming head coaching job, but stayed on through the end of the postseason run. But Bohl was busy putting his staff together at Wyoming, recruiting for the Cowboys. And it was really Kleiman doing all of the legwork for that postseason run, and there was a little bit of dysfunction within the coaching staff. But that senior class 2 years ago told the coaches, listen, you're not going to mess this up for us. And that 2013 team was a juggernaut as Morlock gets inside the 40. Last year they had to work for it. South Dakota State took North Dakota State down to the wire here at the Fargo Dome. So did Coastal Carolina in the quarters. And Sam Houston State led the Bison in the final minute in the championship game before the game-winning drive was capped by a Carson Wentz touchdown run. And then North Dakota State came up with an interception near midfield to seal a 2-point win against Illinois State. Out of the backfield. And that's Bruce Anderson, brought down by the ankles after a gain of 9. They think he's going to be the next big star here, a freshman from Florida.
And I love the crowd here with the Bruce. That's great. Every player loves that, you know, when you can get that type of recognition from your crowd. And that play was set up to perfection, executed very well, and really does help them manage this third down. That was a key play in this drive.
11th play of the drive. They've gone 57 yards. Stick with a little screen. And that's Morlock to the 20 for a first down. We saw this last week in the second half. We've seen it in previous postseason games. Drives like these can break the opponent's spirit.
They can. And that time there, it's just a simple 4-man rush. It was a great play call. As the line came through, great job there by Easton Stick of doing a good job of finding a little window and making sure that he, contorted his body in a way where he could get that throw in, and the rest is history with the first down.
2 tight ends and a fullback. Lance Dunn. And the redshirt freshman out of Waterloo, Iowa, takes it to the 15. If you're Richmond, you start to do the math. Down by 19, that's 3 scores. Will the Spiders even get the ball 3 more times?
I think it's a great question. At this point, in the way that they're controlling the clock right now, converting on 3rd down, it's hard to see them having 3 more opportunities. And who's to say that North Dakota State doesn't score on this drive?
Frazier running behind both of his tight ends. And he's close to another first down, 3rd and short. I know the Star Wars movie came out today, or late last night, depending on where you were. But in this town, this was the marquee. Make no mistake about it.
They're on a drive right now that has lasted over 7 minutes.
An Imperial March.
Indeed.
I'll stop there. It was interesting because before the game, the Twitter account for North Dakota State Athletics and Richmond football had a fun little back and forth. Bison are going to go for it here on 4th and 1. You look at North Dakota State in the world of the FCS, they are the empire. And the Bison Twitter account put out an image of the Death Star with the Bison logo on it. Richmond responded with the Death Star exploding.
That's good.
It was well played. Frazier for the first down to extend the drive, and the Imperial March does continue.
Yeah, those are the types of plays that establish who you are as a team. 15-play drive so far, 79 yards, and King Frazier really doing a good job today of breaking tackles, gaining yards after contact, and really showing that he can be a physical runner for this team.
8 minutes plus the time on this drive. This would make Michigan State blush. Frazier again breaks a tackle to the 5. That's a tired Richmond group right now.
Yeah, it is. And that was a defensive lineman, that Andrew Clyde, that King Frazier ran over there on initial contact, but I can't think of a play today where he's been tackled on initial contact. He's really done a good job of running through contact.
Second and goal. A lot of hands on hips. This will be the 17th play of the drive. The Bison have had the ball for more than half the quarter. Chase Morlock fights forward to the 3, 3rd and goal.
Talking about how fatigued this Richmond Spiders defense is. The first thing that you lose when you get this tired is fundamentals. Yeah, your technique is horrible, and it's hard to hold the point of attack. It's hard to take the appropriate angle and to wrap your arms with force. And so what you're seeing right now is truly a clinic of the Bison just controlling the clock and controlling the line of scrimmage.
This is about to become a 10-minute drive. Frazier bulldozes ahead, and he's in for a score.
Yeah, watch this replay here. We've been talking about them this entire drive. What they go to, back to the power, and King Frazier running with power, just running through tackles. Been a fantastic drive. This has been phenomenal. You're looking at 248 yards on the ground for this Bison team. The guys up front, I know going into this game, everyone was talking about how good Richmond Spiders' offensive line was. Well, the North Dakota State Bison offensive line has stole that attention.
18 plays, 85 yards, 10 minutes and 2 seconds. Frazier, the punctuation. This was championship number 3, a 35-7 romp against Towson and Terrence West. What a run. And it's so easy to take it for granted. Wow, North Dakota State is going to go back to Frisco and play for another title. There are teams that would die just to get to the playoffs 5 years in a row.
Right, and then you lose your best player in Carson Wentz. You bring in a redshirt freshman, and all he's done is won every game he's started. This has been a majestic and magical ride that the Bison are on right now.
Gordon Collins is going to run it out. A little hesitation initially, and that cost him. .606 to go. North Dakota State on its way from Fargo to Frisco. The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Proud to be an official financial planning partner of the NCAA. And in part by Dr. Pepper and college football. It's a one-of-a-kind tradition. North Dakota State ate up more than 10 minutes of game clock on its last drive. Their crowd knows what's at stake and where this team is going. Lauletta with a screen to Brian Brown, and he is tackled immediately by Nick DeLuca, who finished second in the voting for Missouri Valley Conference Defensive Player of the Year, and for good reason.
Yeah, he's limping there, but this kid's been a man. He's just so tough. He's so physical. I mean, he's so good. I mean, here it is. He's the middle linebacker, and he's tackling Brown in space, a wide receiver. This just goes to show you how athletic that young man has been for this team all year long.
You saw how good the Bison have been down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Lauletta steps up. He's going to take a shot downfield for Brown, who had a step, but the throw a little too far ahead.
You talked about that domination in East. The last 6 games now, North Dakota State has outscored opponents in the fourth quarter, 53-3. Talk about closing out games. It's a mindset when you have that type of success in the fourth quarter.
If coffee's for closers, they get the Cadillac Eldorado. First prize.
Yeah, I like that caddy.
There's David Jones on the sideline. He went down earlier in this half. It appeared that he broke his arm. A gruesome injury near midfield. Jones will be back next year for Richmond. Lauletta on 3rd and 11. He's got Tibbs. And it's 4th down for the Spiders.
You've got to give credit to this defensive line for the Bison. Not just for the fact that the Spiders only have 38 yards rushing, but they've been able to generate pressure all game long on just a 4-man rush. They haven't needed to bring the blitz, and what it's allowed them to do is close a lot of passing windows for Lauletta, and when you can still get pressure on the quarterback, that's what every defense coordinator wants.
A fair catch by Smith. The Bison looking to put the ribbon and wrapping paper on this one. Last season, a program-defining drive capped by a touchdown from Carson Wentz. North Dakota State defeated Illinois State in the championship game. That made it 4 in a row, and you know what? The Bison are going to play for a 5th consecutive national championship, January 9th in Frisco. And Ishraf Ahmad Brooks, this is your 2nd game that you've called at the Fargo Dome. You were here last week. You played at Texas. You know what it's like to be in big and loud arenas. 19,000 here. It feels like there's 100,000 in here, doesn't it?
Well, it's because the people are so passionate about this program and about the sport of football. And the only thing that really rivals it is hockey here. And so the way that they come out and really compete, it gives the fans something to cheer for. I mean, leading into the game, as we're coming into for the game, the tailgating experience outside. You get in the stadium, you see the fans are here early. The way that they come onto the field, and then the last part is the way that the product is presented. It's just, this place, as I've said several times on this broadcast, is just magical.
North Dakota State has had the ball for pretty much the entire 4th quarter. Bruce Anderson on 2nd and 7 picks up a first down. Sports Center follows our broadcast, and Neil Everett, Sports Center at night after Pelicans Suns on ESPN. You got an NBA doubleheader, highlights from college hoops and the NHL as well. Now, it's been fun to chronicle this Bison run the last couple of weeks, looking for a 5th straight championship. And Chris Kleiman had some great stories when we spoke to him yesterday about the expectations in Fargo. He said before the season even started in August, he'd be out getting groceries with his wife, and fans would come up to him and say, "Hey, Coach, I booked my plane ticket to Frisco for the national championship. You'll be there, right?" No pressure.
Oh, man. And those are the stories that, and that was the reason he also said that, how could I leave a place like this? He's had an opportunity to leave as they're bringing out the starters now to an ovation, well-deserved, particularly for this young redshirt freshman quarterback. Can't say enough about the job that Easton Stick has done in being able to get this team back to an FCS Finals.
Think about this. If you are a 5th-year senior for North Dakota State, this would be your 75th game. And when the clock runs out, it would be your 70th win.
It's hard to even wrap your brain around. It really is. Wow.
And if the Bison prevail in Frisco, you would leave with 5 championship rings. Granted, you didn't play on all 5 of those teams because you had a redshirt season. But it's an incredible run. We've said that repeatedly. And the way they do it here, that's special too. A lot of FCS teams will not just supplement their teams with transfers, be it JUCO guys or FBS guys, but they'll build their teams around the transfers. And in that way, maybe you're not competitive and competing for a playoff spot every year, but you can find those windows where you have a chance to be real good. They don't do it that way here in Fargo. Lance Dunn gets the call, bounces to the outside, and Dunn drags a couple of tired defenders to the 32. They recruit high school kids. They recruit kids from winning programs. And oftentimes these are kids that are overlooked by the Minnesotas and the Wisconsins and the Iowas and the Nebraskas. So yes, they step into a program with great pedigree, but they're still hungry and they want to prove a lot of their doubters from their high school days wrong. They've got a boulder on their shoulder. It's not a chip. I mean, and they carry it out on the football field, and that's the thing that you love. Being overlooked is one thing, but when you can come back and show people that you're worthy of coming out and playing with anybody, anywhere, any place, anytime, it gives you the confidence to walk around with that type of swag. Anderson, another first down for the Bison. Bowl season getting underway on Saturday. The Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl between the SWAC and the MEAC. The Gildan New Mexico Bowl, 2 Eastern on ESPN, and then 3:30 on ABC. The Las Vegas Bowl, a couple of rivals, BYU and Utah. Chris Kleiman getting some well-deserved hugs and a well-deserved Gatorade bath or a Powerade bath on the Bison sideline. The old refrain still holds. North Dakota State runs its postseason win streak to 19 in a row, and the Bison will play for a 5th consecutive championship in Frisco, Texas on the 9th of January. This dynasty is not going anywhere. North Dakota State will play for another championship. For Ahmad Brooks, I'm Anish Shroff. Final score from the Fargo Dome. The Bison 33, the Spiders 7.